Too familiar for Bama. A run out at the Georgia Dome. A visit back to Atlanta. Just 4 weeks ago, they claimed their latest SEC championship. And try to score on them if you can. They led the nation in scoring defense. The tide has arrived.
For today's coin toss, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl President Gary Stokan and Chairman Percy Vaughn will be joining President, Chairman, and CEO of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy. Dan is the oldest son of Truett Cathy. Representing both teams as honorary captains is Reggie Ragland for Alabama, and for Washington, Lawyer Malloy.
Shake hands, gentlemen. Congratulations on getting here. Alabama, you going to be my spokesman? You're going to be my spokesman for Washington? Come on down here. We have a special ceremonial coin that we're going to use today. Heads will be the side with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl logo and the football. That's heads. Tails will be the side with the Georgia Dome and the logos of all the conferences across the country. That's tails. You understand? Okay. Here to assist me with the coin toss is Mr. Dan Cathy, the CEO of Chick-fil-A, the Peach Bowl sponsor for these many years. Washington, you're the visiting team. You're the long bus ride, so we're going to let you call the toss. Tails. Tails is called. Mr. Cathy, will you do us the honors? It is a head. Alabama, you've won the toss. What would you like to do? Defer? Alabama has won the toss and elected to defer their choice for the second half. Washington, you want the ball? You want the ball. Which way do you want to kick? Kick this way. Put your backs over here, please. Washington, put your backs over here. Washington has elected to receive to start the game. Gentlemen, step up, shake hands, good luck.
The Big Ten's Dan Capron, our ref. Holly is with Bama's big boss.
Well, Coach, I know you're aware this Washington defense leads the nation in turnovers forced. What have you done to prepare your team, in particular your young quarterback, to be ready for this moment?
We work on it all the time. You got to take care of the ball. And then we do it. Our defense tries to do it to them. So, it's going to be an important part of the game and a critical factor in every game is turnover margin.
Your players up front on the defensive front said you've really challenged them, that they have to be even more aggressive today. What is it you've asked them to do?
Well, we got to stop the run. This team has great balance, so we got to be who we are. We got to be physical up front. We got to play with toughness. We got to tackle well. Got to do a good job in the back end of not giving them explosive plays and keeping them cut off. So,
thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Saban 5 national championships in the bag. As this has been the Nissan pregame rush. Alabama to kick off, and that mighty defense will be on the field.
Right away, we'll see what Alabama's strategy is with John Ross, one of the most explosive players in college football. Deep for the kickoff.
Ross has 4 career return touchdowns. That is a UW school record. Adam Griffith gets us started here in Atlanta. And Ross will take it out of the end zone. And he is tripped up just beyond the 10-yard line by Minkah Fitzpatrick. Jake Browning, 9.3 yards per pass attempt. That's 7th best in major college football. We told you about all the passing touchdowns, 42 on the year, second most in the country, and he was the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year.
He's a very accurate thrower. He usually knows exactly where he wants to go with the football. And again, that clock in his head, when they throw 3 seconds or less, the ball needs to be out against this Alabama defense.
Rounding to start the game with a sprint and pass to John Ross. Chick-fil-A impact players. Washington, the fast weapons with Myles Gaskin, who could be a receiving threat out of the backfield. Ross has 17 receiving touchdowns. Of course, Bama, two of the best players in the country lining up on defense, and Allen and Reuben Foster. 4-yard reception by Ross to get the game going. Here's Gaskin. As he muscles his way to the 19-yard line.
Alabama, the #1 rush defense in the country, only allowing 63 yards per game. But Washington has told us we have got to live with 2 or 3 yard gains in the run game. We have to have some kind of balance, and we've got to make Alabama's defense respect our ability to run. First third down play of the game for Washington, very manageable at 3rd and 3.
Empty set with Daniels in motion. 3rd and 3.
The area of concern is the right guard.
And incomplete to the outside of Ross as Marlon Humphrey had coverage.
Where Washington has had problems with big physical defensive linemen is at the right guard position, and that's exactly where Dalvin Tomlinson beat his man. Right here, working on a true freshman, Nick Harris. Tomlinson, a powerful man, just throws him out of the way. And Jake Browning, not enough time to make an accurate throw.
Tristan Biscayno on to punt away. Trayvon Diggs has been the primary return man since the injury to Eddie Jackson.
They came after that first
And
one.
it takes a heck of a Washington bounce. Look at this. All the way inside the 20. A 64-yard punt by Biscayno to open up the game. Just 18 years old is the sensational freshman Jalen Hurts, coming off his SEC championship, the SEC's Offensive Player of the Year. You go back to Herschel Walker to find a freshman who did that. And only one other man has won the national championship as a freshman. That was Oklahoma's Jamel Holloway back in 1985.
Tremendous poise and maturity. You see it in his eyes the entire football game. Nothing rattles this young guy.
Play action to open up the game. Downfield and nearly intercepted by the All-American Buda Baker.
Wow, well played by Buda Baker. He read the quarterback and dropped underneath O.J. Howard. At first it looked like he was covering the flat receiver. And Buda Baker, the playmaker of this defense, watch him fake up and then get underneath the crossing route and almost get the 20th interception for this Husky defense. Lead the nation in forcing turnovers.
Flag comes in. It looked like Jonah Williams may have moved.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Joe, for the last few weeks, you and I have both been in agreement. We think the Washington defense is good enough, salty enough, physical enough to hold their team in this ball game. It's a matter of whether their offense can score enough. But this is a very talented defense, particularly the back end of the Husky defense.
2nd and 15 after the penalty. Here's Damian Harris, and he picks up maybe 3 yards. The Chick-fil-A impact players with this side of the matchup. And Alabama's left tackle Cam Robinson, he's going to be a top NFL draft pick. Calvin Ridley had 66 catches this season. Elijah Qualls is one of the 300-pounders up front. You just saw how good Buda Baker is in coverage, and he'll be aggressive up towards the line as well. There is Elijah Qualls. He is built like a big box at 6'1", 321. 3rd and 11 now for Bama.
They weren't ready for the play.
And Hurts looks like he has nowhere to go, and he is taken down by JoJo McIntosh.
Real miscommunication. Some of the wide receivers were looking to the sideline for a play call, and the ball was snapped. And Jalen Hurts looked surprised by the snap and ended up losing yardage on the play. They're looking to the sideline. The ball is snapped by the center, Bradley Bozeman, and a negative yardage play on 3rd down for Alabama. We talked about the crowd affecting Washington. In this end of the stadium, it's a Washington crowd, and it affected Alabama.
Second-team All-American punter J.K. Scott from his goal line as Dante Pettis, good return man, is back. As he fields it harmlessly at about the 38, a 46-yard punt by Scott. And you know all about that Bama defense. Washington showed you a little something. Browning's second attempt at him coming up. Both teams' offenses 3 and outs. We felt that the defenses would be primed for this matchup. Let's see if it stays that course as Washington out there again. Levon Coleman the back.
Take yardage any way you can get it. 24 yards in the exchange of punts.
Here's Ross again as he ducks down at the 40-yard line. Washington has been able to get off to good starts this year.
Second down in this distance. Run or screen down for Washington. Got to try to maintain balance.
Browning on 2nd and 6. That was well overthrown. Ronnie Harrison tried to go up for it. He was looking for Dante Pettis.
Well, it's lucky for Jake Browning that he threw it so high because it was way behind Pettis and right in line for an interception for Ronnie Harrison. Again, this defense, so opportunistic, so many playmakers on this defense. That's why they score so many touchdowns. They got lots of guys that are good when the ball's in their hands.
Like that guy, 22, Ryan Anderson, and Reuben Foster, the unanimous first-team All-America. Tim Williams has 8.5 sacks. He's got that hand in the ground ready to come off the edge. 3rd and 6. Browning's got to step up top, runs for the first down, and slides down past midfield.
Great decision. This is something you have to do. Jake Browning is not necessarily known as a running quarterback, but watch the middle open up. Because Alabama plays so much man coverage, those DBs turn and run with receivers. You see a seam, take the seam, and get the first down. If Jake Browning can do that 2 or 3 times in this ball game, it'll really give the Alabama defense something else to think about.
So 13 yards on 3rd and 6. Play action, pressure, they go back to Gaskin. A lot of room in front. And Gaskin wiggles his way past Reuben Foster for another Washington first down.
Well, they really fooled Jonathan Allen, the All-American defensive tackle for Alabama. Watch number 93 chase the play. He doesn't stay at home. He gets fooled on the throwback screen. And then Gaskin gets a couple guys out in front blocking. And a great play call on first down by Jonathan Smith, the offensive coordinator.
There's that pre-snap window dressing that Peterson's staff has always been accustomed to. Levon Coleman can barely get back to the line of scrimmage. Jonathan Allen was right there.
Again, you have to run the football. You cannot just drop back and throw 3/4 of the time against this team. They're too good if they get you one-dimensional. And you have to live with short gains and hope that later you might pop some runs for 5, 6, 7 yards.
Second down pass is complete inside the 20-yard line to Ross. It'll be 3rd and short.
Ross does a nice job of getting inside. Watch him set up the cornerback and get inside Anthony Averett with that quickness, and a nice ball thrown on time and accurately by Jake Browning.
We talk about Ross as a deep threat, but in the red zone, he is very productive.
Take a look at that. 12 touchdowns in the red zone on 19 receptions.
3rd and 1 here. Good looking drive being pieced together by Washington. Coleman patiently looked for something and earned a Huskies 1st down.
The strength of the Husky offensive line is their left side. We mentioned they've had some problems at right guard. Their left guard, Jake Eldrenkamp, and their left tackle, Trey Adams, both all Pac-12 performers, as well as their center, Coleman Shelton. So when they need to run the football, that's the side they're going to favor. Nick Harris, we mentioned this red true freshman starting at right guard. He was a lightly recruited guy. He's undersized at 6'1", 270. He's very athletic, but he's going to have his hands full tonight.
Rounding to pass on 1st down. To the end zone he goes. Into the hands of Dante Pettis. Huskies strike first.
Mentioned at the top of the show, Joe, I don't think, as good as this Alabama defense has been, they are as strong in the back end, particularly at corners, as they've been in the past. That time, Dante Pettis, a great stutter step and move, really froze the corner.
As Cameron Van Winkle adds the extra point. An 8-play drive.
Watch this
by Browning.
Single coverage as Pettis comes in motion. A little stutter step. The corner bites, and he beats him to the end zone on a perfect throw over the outside shoulder by Jake Browning, and the Huskies strike first. Nice misdirection on a couple plays in that drive. Remember, it started on their own 36-yard line after starting on the 12, their first one.
Darius Stewart from the 2-yard line. And coverage unit able to find him at about the 20. They got a good one in the 18-year-old Hurts. 34 touchdowns responsible for this year. Damian Harris going to test that right side, maybe 2 yards as Kevin King came up for the tackle.
The last few weeks, Alabama's, or the last few games, I should say, their strategy with their run game, they play 3 different running backs. And they try to run to the perimeter and run wide early in the game, and then later in the game, they come with their big back, Bo Scarborough, a much bigger back at 230 pounds.
Hurts downfield and open was O.J. Howard, the star of last year's national championship game with his first reception today.
Nice job by Hurts waiting for Howard to open up between the 2 defenders, and Alabama playing with tempo. Nick Saban said he thinks their offense is at its best when they play fast.
Harris gets that little crease and then lunges out to the 47-yard line.
Well, we mentioned Washington wanting to run to their left. Cam Robinson, a future NFL draft pick, first rounder. They're going to run behind him as well. Nice job blocking on Elijah Qualls and open up the lane.
And a short run of 3 yards by Harris for a tied 1st down as they cross midfield.
Scarborough into the ball game now, the bigger back. Also a good spot for a play-action pass here for Alabama. Deep coverage by Washington, though.
Hurts You see that strength of Jalen Hurts as the offensive line gives him a little push at the end for another tied first down.
Yeah, see, he is no normal freshman in terms of his poise and also in terms of his strength. He was a power lifter in high school. When he showed up at Alabama, he power cleaned 315 pounds. He squatted 550, and Scott Cochran threw him out of the weight room, said that's enough. You don't need to go up any further. He is a powerful young man.
Here's Scarborough now as he gets past the would-be tackler and balances his way to the sideline inside the 30. Another 11 yards for the tie.
Really nice block by Gary Dieter, the wide receiver. The graduate transfer from Bowling Green was on the end of the line there and got the key block on Buda Baker.
Well, this up-tempo on this drive has really worked for Alabama. Hurts gonna keep again and just trip up that time by Benning Potoa'e.
Shoestring tackle. Otherwise, Hurts is all the way to the safety and maybe into the end zone. Great response drive by the Tide.
Another dose of Bo Scarborough at nearly 230 pounds.
Both of these defenses suffered two critical injuries. For Washington, it was their best pass rusher, Joe Mathis, and their leading tackler, inside linebacker, Azim Victor, both out of the game today.
3rd and 2. Scarborough. Muscle man down to the goal line. Touchdown, Alabama.
Two plays on this drive. Gary Dieter, the wide receiver, with an outstanding block. This time on the touchdown for Scarborough. Looks a little bit like the guy that wore number 2 in the Alabama jersey last year with that kind of run. Was his knee down before the ball crossed the plane? Doesn't look like it from that angle. Tremendous individual effort. What a response, huh?
Excellent response by the Tide. Tied up in the college football playoff national semifinal. Up-tempo and a whole lot of power. The freshman quarterback, determined, and leg drive. And then the big super soft. Did look a little bit like Derrick Henry there, didn't he, folks?
These are starters and 5-star recruits running down on kickoff for Alabama. That first possession started at the 12. If it's in the end zone, he should leave it there.
Well, he's taking it out. And once again, all that talent getting to him. Well, explaining Bama's greatness, it begins and ends, of course, with defense. Jonathan Allen finished top 10 in the Heisman. Reuben Foster, a slingshot into every play. It was nearly impossible to run against them. They only gave up 63 yards a game. If you can't run, you won't get many first downs. Constant 3 and outs. And if you can't get first downs, not going to score much. Only gave up just over 11 points a game. Oh, but they will score themselves 10 defensive touchdowns. And in every one of those categories, Todd, they were number 1 in the country.
That's the leader right there. Reuben Foster, their middle linebacker, has had a sensational season. And he plays fast and sideline to sideline.
Gaskin. Nothing is there. That was Deron Payne and company stacking up that wall.
See, this defensive front of Alabama, they are so good at just eating up 2 blocks. They just hold their point and allow their linebackers to fly around and make plays. It's very hard to move any of those guys, Tomlinson, Payne, Allen, off their mark at the line of scrimmage.
Gaskin out into space, and he's able to utilize that speed for a first down.
And you know what? That's the second reception for Gaskin in the game. The coaches told us we might see him more as a receiver. Coming into the game, only 14 catches. So already the strategy of getting him the football in the passing game has worked out for Washington. Another first down.
14 yards there by way of Gaskin.
And they avoid a third down situation as well.
Play action as he goes to the tight end Sample. Let's go to the field to Holland.
After Washington scored their first touchdown, when the players came over to the sideline, they were exuberant. Keep in mind, they've been hearing for over a month that they are not going to score or move the ball on this Alabama defense. One of the defensive linemen came over and said to Dante Pettis, I told y'all this was going to be fun. They are gaining more and more confidence as the game goes on and moving the ball on this daunted Alabama defense. They're gaining more confidence every second over here.
Well, I'll tell you a couple things they're doing, Holly. They're changing their plays and they're changing their looks. Many different formations they're throwing at Alabama early in this football game.
2nd and 2. And pushing ahead for that line to make was Gaskin.
I'll tell you another thing they did. They made a nice little adjustment with their protection to help Nick Harris. Now watch right here. This was the first drive on a 3rd down and 3 play. He's one-on-one against Dalvin Tomlinson. He gets whipped. It's incomplete. On the touchdown play later, watch. Instead of the center helping left, he's going to help right this time and be there in position to help. Browning plenty of time and the beautiful throw for the touchdown. Nice little adjustment up front by Washington, helping the freshman right guard.
Here's Ross now as he gets past the first man. Ball is on the ground and it is picked up by Jonathan Allen, seemingly always around the pigskin.
John Ross did a great job of eluding the first man. And then he looks like he's trying to cover it up, but the ball is ripped out. I don't know if that's Minka Fitzpatrick that rips it out. I think it is Anthony Averett that rips it out. And Alabama in this opportunistic defense gets the ball in plus territory. And when that happens, they are dangerous. In the regular season, 18 offensive possessions Alabama has had in plus territory. 11 of those they have scored touchdowns on. That is an extremely high percentage of touchdowns when they take over the ball in their opponent's territory.
So served up at the plus 40 as they stack the receivers to the top of your screen, and Hurts will pass out of it. Here's Ridley now on the sideline. 6-yard reception for Calvin Ridley.
Alabama, 61% of the time they score touchdowns. By comparison, the NFL average only 34%.
Good job by the offensive line and the extra effort from Damian Harris. 6 yards and a tied first down.
Again, running left behind their All-American tackle, Cam Robinson. Ross Pershbaker, the left guard. That's the strong side of their offensive line as well.
Robinson receiving number 74, unanimous first-team All-American, the Outland Trophy winner. Pitch to Harris. He was met at the 25-yard line, 4-yard run. Kevin King coming up.
Darius Stewart got away with a hold on that play. He was blocking on the edge against Saul Wuching. Wuching thought he got held. Darius Stewart, a very physical presence on the perimeter as a blocker or a receiver.
Hurts is going to run it himself. Harris, lead blocker. And the freshman quarterback puts down his shoulder. It'll leave a yard to go here. 3rd and 1 coming up for Alabama.
Not the flashiest runner, but he's carried the ball coming into this game 32 more times than the leading rusher. Damian Harris had more yards, but Jalen Hurts had 30 more carries. That's movement in the backfield.
He was leaning forward, anticipating the snap, Damian Harris.
False start. Offense. Number 11. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Now they're going to get Dieter as well.
It's a critical penalty, moving from 3rd and less than 1 to 3rd down and 6 now. Lane Kiffin changing the play at the line of scrimmage. They might need to call timeout, though.
Play clock down to 2. As Kiffin, the offensive coordinator in his 3rd year at Alabama, soon to leave to become the head coach
Their
at
first
Florida Atlantic.
30-second timeout.
Now this is just the start to a spectacular day. Coming up later, the second game of the college football playoff semifinals. Ohio State in Clemson. The PlayStation Fiesta Bowl will be right here at 7 o'clock on ESPN. The battle of the quarterbacks, J.T. Barrett and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, those two teams go as those two guys go. Deshaun a little bit more accomplished as a passer. J.T. Barrett, big-time runner. The knock on Barrett has been, can he throw the ball down the field? And I think for them to win tonight, he's going to have to hit some throws down the field against that Clemson defense.
Watson 30-3 in his career as Clemson's starting quarterback.
Before that timeout, Washington showed a 2-deep safety look to play against the pass, which would have suggested run for Alabama. Let's see if they change up that look and what Alabama counters with. More of a one safety, single safety high look now.
That's our Darius Stewart in the backfield with Hurts. And he will carry the ball. The wide receiver Stewart stayed in the backfield on 3rd and 6 and took a conventional carry.
See, again, before the timeout, it was a 2-safety look, which would suggest your numbers favor running the football. Washington moved to a single safety, and the run was not there. But remember,
will come Adam Griffith for the field goal attempt.
The penalty on 3rd and 1 is what stopped this drive, not that play.
of 26 on the year, this from 41. As that'll be the end
of the
first quarter here in Atlanta.
Go back to the 3rd down run play. This play is designed to go out here, but our Darius Stewart, he's going to cut it back, and there's no room when he cuts it back. Now, the problem I have with this play, it was well conceived and well designed. I didn't like the personnel grouping. If he's a true running back, he's going to see that hole and stay outside. Our Darius Stewart was a running back in high school, but a wide receiver in Alabama did not make the right read on that run.
So it leaves him with a field goal attempt from Adam Griffith, who grew up in this area. Back in high school, had a big moment winning a state title game kicking in this Georgia Dome. 41-yard attempt. And with that, gives Alabama the lead. Celebrating its 12th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. And to date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
You know, even though Alabama now has the lead on the scoreboard, that had to feel like a bit of a win for the Washington defense. They turn the ball over. Alabama normally deadly when they get the ball in opponents' territories in terms of putting it in the end zone. They got the penalty on 3rd and 1 and the stop on 3rd and 6, and they only trail by 3.
Let's go to the field to Holly.
Well, Todd, you talked about all the different motions and shifts and formations we're seeing from Washington. That's causing some communication issues for Alabama's defense. Keep in mind, linebacker Foster makes all the calls. He's done it all year, but usually by his side is Sean Dion Hamilton. He's the guy that corrects him when he's wrong. He's out this game, and I've seen several instances where those guys are struggling to communicate, get things set up on defense.
Yeah, Sean Dion Hamilton, the coaches told us, was like having a coach on the field. Very smart guy, not out there today.
Ross will take the knee this time. Levon Coleman probing his way and only able to get 2 yards.
Again, when we talked to Chris Peterson and we talked to Jonathan Smith, the offensive coordinator, they both said, we've got to treat this game like an NFL game. We have to slam the ball in there and run, and if we get 2-yard gains, we can't panic. We can't abandon the run. We got to hope that some things open up, but we have to maintain balance in our offense and make Alabama play us honestly.
There's Gaskin out of the backfield again, but they go to the other side to McClatcher, and look at the pursuit by Tony Brown.
Well, they know Chico McClatcher is dangerous on perimeter screens. Tony Brown read it, got off the block of the freshman wide receiver Aaron Fuller, and made the negative yardage play. That was just Tony Brown being a better player than Aaron Fuller on that one.
7-yard loss, and this is exactly the spot you said Washington has to avoid. Watch out for 22 and 56 off the edge here.
They're 2 for 3 on 3rd down, but they've all been under 7 yards.
Conservative play call that Jonathan Allen was right on top of as Gaskin is taken down for a loss of 3.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen read this right away. I mean, he saw this. He was on a little stunt to that side. He's right here. He's going to be running a stunt to this side, and then he read the action of the line and went right to the screen man to make the tackle.
Remember, Vizcaino had a 65-yarder with the bounce earlier, that rugby style.
They're short of man.
Use a field flipper here. They run one on.
He normally goes to his right and tries to kick it between the numbers and the hash on the right side. The second time they've kicked away from that side, and it full digs again.
Good self-scouting by Washington, and another great bounce by Vizcaino.
The scouting report on Washington punting: move to the right, kick it to the right. 2 punts in the ball game. Both of them have been to the left. Last year he was the scout team quarterback for Alabama, representing Deshaun Watson as they prepared for the national championship game.
Scarborough. He could play a big role today with what we've seen early on here. 7 more.
You know, it's been kind of a perfect storm for Jalen Hurts taking over as the quarterback. With the defense as good as Alabama's has been, they're going to be in every game. You've got the ability to run. You got skill guys around you. As we see Alabama pick up another hard-fought first down. They haven't had to put too much on him through the season. They've been able to allow him to grow and develop as a quarterback. Sometimes with a quarterback who loves to run like Jalen Hurts, it takes a little longer to develop him as a passer. This bowl prep has been good for that.
Here's Scarborough now on the pitch, and this time the Huskies are able to get to him. Holly.
We were finally able to speak with freshman Jalen Hurts after he's been off limit to the media all year, and I asked him where he got that calm presence and poise from, Todd, that you've noticed so much. He said, you know, when I was a kid, I would sneak into the huddle at my dad's high school. I would just poke my head up under there, under people's arms. He said, I've been in the huddle all my life. It's a place where I feel so comfortable.
Well, you see it in his eyes. I mean, it's so easy to read. And his ability to go to the next play after a mistake, and he hasn't made a ton of them, but when he has, his ability to go to the next play quickly, I think is impressive.
Second and 10. Hurts pressured, able to turn away from Vea. Trying to extend this play, and then goes out after just a yard.
Pretty good coverage by Washington. Vita Vea, talk about a good-looking young player. 6'5", 332-pound sophomore. The question with him, when he plays with an edge, when he plays with an attitude, he's unblockable. The key is trying to get him to do that play after play.
Here's an opportunity now for the Huskies defense. 3rd and 9. That ball was snagged on the sideline that time by Garrick Dieter.
Garrick Dieter kept 1 foot in, snatched the ball, graduate transfer from Bowling Green. When he was a senior at Bowling Green, he caught 94 passes for over 1,000 yards. Transferred to Alabama to become a more well-rounded player.
Excellent staying at home by Vea there. That was a big catch by Dieter. Garrick Dieter, unique first name. He was named after Lou Gehrig. He has a brother Nolan, as in Nolan Ryan, another brother Thurman,
As in Thurman Munson. Canton, Ohio native.
I think he'd be starring on the grass diamond, not here in the college football playoff. 2nd and 12. Scarborough met, and he still goes ahead for 4 yards, but it was Greg Gaines the first to get there, and now another 3rd down they'll face.
A big play right here, I think, for the Washington defense. They were able to overcome the turnover and only give up 3 points. Alabama closing in on that 50-yard line again. Big chance right here to force a punt. Got to be aware of Jalen Hurts taking off and running if you're too concerned with coverage.
3rd and 7. Hurts slings it downfield, and that is beyond Dieter this time.
Pressure.
As Buda Baker was there, and a little bit of pressure coming after.
Greg Gaines got into the body, and Jalen Hurts not able to make an accurate throw, throwing that ball out of bounds. Greg Gaines, one of 3 defensive linemen for Washington, 320 plus. They're kind of built like squares. They're not tall, but they're athletic guys. Greg Gaines and Elijah Qualls both were running backs in high school, so they're very athletic, big men.
Scott on to punt again. Sample of the big leg that he offers up, skies it inside the 10-yard line where Pettis has the fair catch. Hired him at Kent State, got the coaching career going. Convinced him not to go back home and work elsewhere. Browning to pass on 1st down and gets it complete to Pettis. Holly.
Well, Nick Saban's father passed away unexpectedly when he was coaching for Don James at Kent State. Nick wanted to go home and run his gas station in Dairy Queen, but Don James talked him out of it. Also, his mother said, don't come home, stay with the coaching ranks. So just think where Nick Saban would be today without Don James and his influence to continue coaching.
Pumping gas and selling ice cream. Instead, he's knocking on the door of possibly history, chasing Bear Bryant. 2nd and 3. Browning pressured, steps up, but ripped down by Joshua Frazier. First sack of the game for this Alabama defense.
Yeah, this was a jailbreak for Alabama. Tomlinson's going to come free. First of all, that's going to flush and move Browning off his spot. Again, that's the key. If you can move him off his spot, he's not as comfortable, and you're really not comfortable when a 320-pounder grabs a hold of your neck like Joshua Frazier. 3rd and 7. This is that critical area against this Alabama defense.
Browning on 3rd and 7, too far to the outside of McClatcher.
Really good coverage by Anthony Averett. I mean, he was in single coverage, hard inside technique, man-to-man. Did a nice job of running right with him. Browning 11 for 14 in the game. But 9 of his 11 completions have been for under 10 yards.
Vizcaino's been the guy they've had to rely on here. He's punting again. Remember, a 65-yard punt, 62-yard punt. And now you see the shift from Diggs. As it was played to that right side, but went out of bounds, and it'll be outstanding field position for Alabama. Just a 33-yard punt.
Second time Alabama started in plus territory. I would expect them to take a deep shot here.
Hurts Does he have time to? Pressured and then tripped up. As that was a good surge by Tevis Bartlett.
He was looking for Ridley. And Ridley was covered by the corner, and the safety was helping initially. He's going for number 3. It's play action. Throw it to your best deep threat. And pretty good job in coverage, but the pressure is what got to Hurts, and he was unable to get the throw off.
It's the second time that Alabama has started in Washington territory. Hurts met at the line of scrimmage and taken down by Jalen Johnson.
Well, again, I think what Alabama and SEC fans are seeing that we knew coming in. Washington's defense, people get the impression that Pac-12 is all finesse. This is not a finesse football team. It's a very physical football team, particularly in their defensive front.
And now a chance for this Washington defense to get out of trouble after just a 33-yard punt. And this started at the plus 45. 3rd and 12 for Hurts.
A lot of time.
Searching for options.
Wow, great
Throwing
coverage.
it out of bounds. Great coverage downfield. Outstanding job by the Washington defense.
Washington, similar to Alabama, is able to generate pressure with 4 guys. That means they can cover with 7. They've got Ridley under wraps, short of the first down. Dieter, Buda Baker in the area, trading them off to a safety. They got O.J. Howard. It's zone defense on 3rd and long with a 4-man rush.
So now the 6'6" punter from Denver, J.K. Scott, back on there. Second 3 and out for Bama. As J.K. launches this again. And nearly a sensational effort that time. Bama's first team All-American. Dangerous pass by Browning as Ronnie Harrison came in and put a lick on John Ross.
Yeah, perfect timing by Ronnie Harrison. Big physical safety, 6'3", 215 pounds, read the slant. Corners got outside, safeties coming for inside help, and just perfect timing by Ronnie Harrison. Last 2 possessions, Washington has gone 3 and out. Of course, Alabama's defense, the best in the country at forcing 3 and outs.
2nd and 10. Browning moves to the outside of Gaskin, but Foster was right with him.
Now, the first 3 3rd down situations that Washington had in the game were all under that 7-yard mark. Now counting this one, the last 3 have been 7 or more. 15, 7, and now 10. And that's the area you do not want to be in against this Alabama defense.
Lead the nation in 3 and outs. Here comes Williams. Browning steps up. Williams trying to track him down, and they get to him. It was Harrison and Williams converging on the sophomore quarterback.
Good decision, I think, by Jake Browning. If it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, you got a chance. Watch the rush. Tim Williams, one of the premier pass rushers Alabama's ever had. The pocket closes, Browning takes off, and then Williams pursues from the backside along with Ronnie Harrison. Again, the 3rd and 10 needed made that play impossible to gain the first down.
So Diggs and Vizcaino back out there. This is not a good looking punt by Vizcaino this time at all. It struggles to reach midfield and then does take a Washington bounce.
Well, Alabama, it feels like they've been playing downhill ever since their first offensive possession. A decided edge in field position, but Washington to this point has been able to hold them to only 10 points. Another possession for Alabama as we near the break with excellent field position. See if they go smash mouth again.
Play action. Coming after Hurts. And he was looking for Dieter on a crossing route as Sam Wuching was chasing down Jalen Hurts.
Very lucky that ball didn't get intercepted. I think Kevin King, if he'd have seen where the ball was coming, he would have made an interception. He was going to hit Dieter. Watch Wuching, number 28, get the pressure. This is a dangerous throw across your body, back towards the middle. Kevin King, if he would have seen the ball, I think he'd have made a play on it.
Scarborough now. Good looking run down the left side as JoJo McIntosh had to get to him eventually. 16 yards more for Scarborough.
Nice block by Cam Robinson. First Baker got away with the hold at the left guard position, but Scarborough showing his power running on the perimeter.
He has been the most reliable weapon for Alabama. Back to business for the big guy. And another first down for the tie.
Just a big physical guy. Great double team at the point of attack by the left tackle and the left guard. And a nice read. Cutting that ball back by Scarborough.
80 yards for Scarborough. First down, Buda Baker coming after Hurts, and he's got to throw it away, and it almost is picked off by Taylor Rapp. He was just hoping the ball would stay in play as a flag is down back at the 44-yard line.
He did not get out of the tackle box, so the question is this going to be intentional grounding or not? He was still within the tackle box when he threw it, but I think there was a receiver in the area, even though the ball went out of bounds.
Intentional grounding. Offense. By rule, the ball is placed at the spot of the foul with a loss of down. Second down.
Check in with our
not get outside the tackle box.
rules expert, Bill Lamagna. Bill?
Well, Dan Campert hit it on the head. The quarterback's still in the tackle box. He throws the ball away. There is no receiver in the area. So we have an intentional grounding call.
At first I thought there was a receiver, but he was running deep, and clearly Jalen Hurts, under duress, was throwing the ball away. And another break for this Husky defense.
Now it's 2nd and 26. Hurts to Howard, and he was met right away after about 2.5 yards by Buda Baker.
A little testy at the end of the play. Darius Stewart mixing it up with Kevin King. Again, we said Stewart a very physical presence on the perimeter. A different type of receiver than Calvin Ridley. And 3rd and long. Washington defensively look for zone, try to keep the ball in front of them and make a tackle short of the first down.
3rd and 23. Put into the hole from the penalty. Josh Jacobs met Kevin King and company. And the impact of that penalty and then the speed and hustle of the Washington defense.
Kevin King read it perfectly. Greg Gaines with another big play coming from inside out at that defensive tackle position to make the stop. And Washington able to avoid more damage on the scoreboard so far.
Penalty likely costing them at least a field goal attempt as J.K. Scott on to punt again. Huskies have asked a lot of their defense, and they have responded.
Well, they're going to get a great field. Nice job. Well done by Scott. Great job by the Gunners getting down there and pinning Washington deep inside their own 5.
Excellent job by J.K. and Levi Wallace. Good Hands Play is brought to you by Allstate.
Jake Browning, quick release, getting the ball out on time, and then the touchdown throw earlier in the ball game. Beautiful route by Pettis. Perfect timing. Thrown over the outside shoulder for the Washington touchdown, and they led early in the game, but now find themselves down 10-7 and deep against their own end zone.
You got to be careful with how you manage things here. With 2:16 to play in the first half. As they go with fly sweep motion, McClatcher. Look at Chico McClatcher out to the 20-yard line. Boy, does that help.
Chico McClatcher was a running back in high school. Very talented running back. Moved to receiver, a slot receiver. This is what he did most of the time last year on the fly sweep. Broke the hand tackle by Tim Williams and got the first down. And a much-needed little bit of real estate and breathing room for the Husky offense.
Browning now to pass on first down with that breathing room. Smartly tucks and makes the most of it.
Yeah, I think Washington and Jake Browning needs to take some shots deeper down the field. He's been accurate, 11 for 16, but only 78 yards passing. You have to attack Alabama's defense down the field, but the field position has made it so difficult for them to take those kind of shots.
And look at how that Bama defense has settled in the last 4 drives.
Again, I think field position has been a huge factor for Alabama in this first half and has helped them play the kind of defense they want.
Segment 6. Ross, receiver screen. Well defended until Ross put on the move. It'll be 3rd and less than 1. And Minkah Fitzpatrick is still down at the end of that play.
2 players are
as
down.
is Dalvin Tomlinson.
You know, when you cover screens, you have to cover from inside out. And I think this was friendly fire. Dalvin Tomlinson coming from the inside hit his own man, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Reuben Foster also limping off the field.
Minkah Fitzpatrick took a shot right to the head. Watch 29. At the end of the play, his own guy hit him in the head twice.
That's a 300-pounder in Thompson coming in to the helmet of Minkah Fitzpatrick, who has been one of the best players in all of college football this year and so versatile in a position that Alabama needs. And he's covered up a lot of holes as that defensive backfield got thinned out over the course of the year.
Well, he's an elite player. He's played corner. He's most comfortable, I think, at safety. You know, Alabama has what they call the star position. It's kind of the nickel back. He's played there at times in the last 2 years. But he is an outstanding player. Remember, this defense lost Eddie Jackson, who was another elite player in the back of their defense. Safety broke his leg earlier in the year. He's here with his team, encouraging him, leading him. Good to see Fitzpatrick up.
Eddie Jackson was such a key part of this Alabama defense.
That brings Deontay Thompson into the game, number 14. Nope, he's not in. He was out. Now he's back on the sideline. There's Eddie Jackson. Remember, the last 3 third down plays for Washington were all over 10.
Timeout, Washington. Their first 30-second timeout.
And a 33 remaining in the half. And Washington will use a timeout. Holly?
Well, one of the reasons these injuries are piling up and could be a concern for Alabama is their depth on their defensive line is not what it has been in years past. In fact, Dalvin Tomlinson, his backup all season, Dakota Ball, is not playing in this game today because of a hunting accident where he shot his index finger off. So they are thin up front. They would have a true freshman, Raekwon Davis, replace him. And, of course, Reuben Foster back out there, but he was limping heavily with that left knee. They cannot lose him.
They have been thinned out a bit on defense. Halftime report. Buick halftime report is coming up with Stan, Mac, and Mark. They're going to get us set for that PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. KJ Carter-Samuels comes in, stops behind the center, and goes ahead for a quarterback sneak. They bring in the backup quarterback. He goes under center, and they pick up the first down.
We saw it in practice on Thursday, and I saw Colorado run at the same play in their bowl game. Carter-Samuel goes past the center, comes back, and takes a quick snap.
Ooh, that was dangerous as Marlon Humphrey was breaking on the ball intended for John Ross.
Now, John Ross didn't get out of his break. That's as much on the receiver as it is the quarterback. Well played by Marlon Humphrey, but again, I think they're squeezing down on this Washington passing game. They've got to try to throw the football down the field a little bit. And you might see him have to resort to a 7-man protection to make sure they can give their quarterback enough time to throw it down the field.
Fletcher in motion. Browning pressured. Intercepted. Ryan Anderson. The Tide defense rolls again. The 11th defensive touchdown of the year for them.
Here's the guy who made the play. Reuben Foster is going to blitz. Ryan Anderson is going to flatten out and play coverage. Those two guys couldn't have played it any better. Foster forces the throwaway. Ryan Anderson there for the interception. And for the 11th time this season, Alabama has a defensive touchdown. Their offense not able to capitalize on field position and score. Their defense does what they've done all season. Put one in the end zone.
And for Jake Browning, his first interception in his last 104 pass attempts. And it was as costly as could be. Of course, January 9th, it is the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. We're all going to be down there at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Coverage comes to you at 8 Eastern on ESPN, but we'll start the day at 2 in the afternoon, get you set for the College Football Playoff National Championship game. I'm so looking forward to seeing the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl tonight with the Buckeyes against Clemson. See how this bracket fills out. Good sign there with Minka Fitzpatrick back out on the field. And of course, Jake Browning right back into the teeth of this defense. Gaskin on the delay as he's wrestled down by Harrison at the 30.
You know, this might sound kind of weird, but this feels like what the score was supposed to be, 17-7, because of the field advantage, field position edge that Alabama had. Most of that second quarter, their offense wasn't able to get a touchdown, but the defense was able to help them out.
Gaskin again, and it'll be 3rd and 2 from there. Washington defense has been very good today. A costly mistake moments ago. Ryan Anderson with the pick 6.
But again, other than that touchdown drive, Washington playing uphill the entire first half.
Here's a good gainer there by Gaskin. Under a half a minute to play. Washington with 2 timeouts remaining.
Now with getting that first down, maybe you take a shot here. Chris Peterson going to use one of his 2 timeouts.
Washington, they're second.
Again, I think you got to figure out how to protect your quarterback, and that might mean moving him to a different spot or using more guys to protect.
You know, a lot of times when folks were trying to predict this game, previewing this game, they said, well, if it's a conforming game, as long as they don't give up one of those defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just gave up one of those defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, those are momentum plays. They're huge plays that Alabama has capitalized all year. And Washington has been a great team as far as taking care of the football. Jake Browning making great decisions all year. That was a bad decision and the kind of play you cannot give this Alabama team.
And all year long, they hadn't given up a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
And then the costly mistake there by Browning and the pick 6 by Ryan Anderson. It's uncanny.
Really
Alabama
is.
defense ability to score themselves 11 defensive touchdowns on the season. Browning chased this time, and he will throw it out of bounds with 20 seconds remaining here. It was Tim Williams yet again with pressure on Browning.
When you talk about your offensive line needing to be able to protect your quarterback against this Alabama team, it has to be for 4 quarters because these guys don't slow down. Holly mentioned they're not as deep up front as they were a year ago, but they have 4 guys that they rotate through 3 positions that are all similar and all starters in their mind. Last year they had 8 that they rotated through, so they don't have the same numbers, but those first 4 they rotate through there are pretty doggone good.
Browning with time, but he threw it behind Pettis.
Yeah, that was good protection. Jake Browning had plenty of time. There were a couple deep routes involved in that play, but well covered down the field by Alabama.
And he talked about Washington needing buy a few of those lottery tickets. See if you can cash in downfield. You have to be able to set up to do it. That was a moment where he had the time. Now a 3rd and 10.
Right guard moved, flinched in a stance, so make it 3rd and 15. I think Washington will run the football now.
Offense, number 56, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
They want to just gather themselves in the locker room here.
Jake Browning only completed 1 of his last 8 passes. He started off 10 for 12.
And as you said, that is the choice to run the ball as Reuben Foster makes the tackle. Well, to your point, perhaps reflective of what the score should be, considering the field position that Alabama often had. Browning and Pettis struck first, but then came Bo Scarborough, the running game. And then the defense did what they have done all year long, the pick 6. And number 1 Alabama is up 17-7. We'll send it down to Holly for the AT&T Inside Access.
Well, Coach, what concerns you the most of what's happening up front at the line of scrimmage when your offensive line is out there? Jalen Hurts been under a little duress.
Well, you know, we haven't been able to get any rhythm going except in the one drive when we're able to run the ball and go fast, which is really what we want to do. But we haven't blocked them very well up front. We've got too much pressure in the pocket when we're trying to throw the ball. So we just got to do a better job with those big guys up front on the passing game.
Now that you've seen what they are on offense, what do you want to change in the second half?
Well, I mean, I think we got to keep playing. I mean, they're capable of making big plays all the time. They made a couple on us in the first half. I think our guys are doing a good job adjusting and adapting to what we need to do. But, you know, it's a long game, man. We got a lot of football to play.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
And Bama will get the ball to start the second half. Up by 10 here in the college football playoff.
Alabama trying to make it back-to-back national championships, leading this national semifinal 17-7 on Washington at the half. Washington came into this game plus 21 in turnover margin. That was the best mark in the country, but their mistakes have been a big part of the story of the first half, and they are down by 10. Welcome in. It's the Buick Halftime Report. Stan Barrett here, along with Mac Brown and Mark May, and well, those mistakes, you can't give Alabama extra chances.
Now, for Washington to win, they needed to force the turnovers. They can't be turning over the ball. And early in that ball game, Fitzpatrick strips Ross. When Washington's going in to score, they're moving the ball and got a great drive. So it cost Washington potential points. And then Alabama takes it down and gets 3 points, so you just can't do it.
And right here, you can't throw this pass if you're Jake Browning. Right on the spot. Ryan Anderson does a terrific job. Pick 6. It's their 11th score defensively on the season.
All right, so that touchdown, the first non-offensive touchdown that Washington has allowed all season, 15th non-offensive touchdown that Alabama has scored, and that includes 11 by their defense.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, but Washington can't block Alabama. They're too good. I don't know that anybody in the country can block them, Mark, but they are so talented. They have better players, and what's happened is Washington's done a good job of misdirection plays, delayed screens, but they haven't been able to line up and run the ball and block them, and that's not allowing Browning to be comfortable in the pocket throwing the ball downfield. So, and when you can't block them up front, it makes it a long day.
And that's the key, because I said at the beginning of the game, if Alabama makes them one-dimensional, this game is over. Game, set, match. So far, Washington cannot establish the run. Their only runs have been on misdirection plays. They got some yards off the screen and a jet sweep. But besides that, if you're going to stand in the pocket against this defense and try to throw the ball vertically, Jake Browning can't hold up, and neither can this offensive line.
All right, some adjustments necessary for the Huskies in the second half. Bo Scarborough, a grown man run for a touchdown to get Alabama on the board for its first score. Crimson tied by 10 here in Atlanta.
Coach, your defense has held up very well, but they've been in terrible field position to start many of their drives. How can you change that?
Well, we got to convert some first downs, and we really just need to not turn the ball over and give them a fighting chance. You know, Alabama's got a great defense. We got to keep slugging in there, but we got to be able to methodical and convert some first downs.
What sense did you get in the locker room just now that your kids have some confidence and are playing well?
Yeah, they'll come out and play hard. 2 halves.
Thanks, Coach.
Tide will get the ball to start things off here in Atlanta. Ardarius Stewart chooses to take it out. And he gets out close to the 25.
Alabama not able to throw the ball very well in that first half, but they did run it. 106 yards, a little bit of Jalen Hurts, a little bit more of Big Bo Scarborough. The big 230-pound back running north and south, busting tackles. I would expect to see more of this in the second half. I just really think that Alabama coming out to start the second half is going to play smash mouth football. They're going to line up, try to run north and south right at this very fast and athletic Washington defense and see if they can control the game at the line of scrimmage.
Of course, also consider Jalen Hurts in the run game as well. Very powerful freshman quarterback. As we get underway here in the second half, and Hurts, look at all the space, and with a block in front from Forrestal, and a big way to start the second half from Hurts.
Well, they really fooled him with the eyes a little bit. You're faking to the tailback. Ridley's coming in motion. Eyes go to him, and then you get right behind Forrestal, who's leading the way. Elijah Qualls, the defensive end on the backside, got a little bit out of position.
So after the 33-yard run by Hurts, Damian Harris for a yard. Lane Kiffin, his third year as the offensive coordinator. No matter which tools he has had in the toolbox, he has found a way in recent years with Alabama. This year, a freshman quarterback leading the way.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Lane Kiffin's been the offensive coordinator for 3 years. They've been to the college football playoff all 3 years, and they've been here with a different first-year starting quarterback, and all 3 guys were different in their styles and skill sets. That's pretty impressive coaching and play calling for Lane Kiffin.
Jake Coker a year ago leading them to a title. Blake Sims set records prior to that. 3rd and 7. A gap pressure is picked up by Bama. Hurts downfield, flag is down, complete to Dieter. For now, a 17-yard reception. We will check on the penalty flag.
You run a guy deep, you run a guy short, and you run a guy right in the middle. Dieter was the middle receiver. Nice job by Jalen Hurts throwing on the run, but let's see what the penalty is.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 87 on the offense was covered. Went downfield on the pass. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
When they say covered there, they're not talking about defensive coverage. They're talking about not being the end man on the line.
I didn't see him go down the field. He was a blocker. He was not even out in the pass rush.
Dan Capron leading this Big Ten crew today. Capron, the official who had worked the Ohio State-Michigan game in a controversial spot on 4th down. 3rd and 12 now. Hurts, as they will take a look at that play clock here.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You know, credit Washington's defense for making some plays, but Nick Saban's offense has hurt themselves today. Penalties on 3rd down situations in particular. 5 penalties for Alabama, all against the offense.
And so many of those penalties curbing what appears to be very good opportunities on the plus side of the field. Now a 3rd and 17. As to the 40-yard line is O.J. Howard. A little something extra between these two squads as the big 250-pound tight end was fighting for everything he could get.
Nice job by the referees getting in the middle of that. No flags needed. Some guys, linemen running down, trying to peel some guys off the ball carrier. Good no call. Good job getting in the middle of that and breaking it up.
So on comes J.K. Scott to punt again. He has 2 inside the 10-yard line. He's averaging 44.5 today.
Alabama with a chance to pick up right where they left off in the first half with the field position edge.
Back rotation spin here, but it goes into the end zone.
Jake Browning started the game 11 for 13. He finished the first half 1 for 8. Needs to get a hot hand again.
Gaskin couldn't find hardly anything there. Holly?
Well, all three of those Alabama players that were hurt in that friendly fire collision, Reuben Foster is back out on the field, but with a heavy brace on his left knee. Dalvin Tomlinson also back on the field with a shoulder brace on. And Minkah Fitzpatrick, I saw them briefly look at his eyes in the tent, kind of give him a concussion test, but he's back out as well. They all need all three of those, so big news.
The guy that Washington has not got the football to yet, Darrell Daniels, their tight end, is a big receiver. A little bit different matchup problem.
Going to keep it on the ground here. As Gaskin tried to turn the corner, Aberrant came up to meet him.
Again, you say, well, Washington's not running the ball very successfully. That puts them at 66 yards for the game. But remember, this Alabama team coming in only allows 63. So Chris Peterson's plan, we got to keep slamming the ball in there and try to have some balance. And then they got to take care of the football on these third down situations.
Well, they got the big Darrell Daniels split out in that diamond bunch formation to the top. Here on 3rd and 6. He's got some speed for a big guy. Browning, pressure on him again. Tim Williams on top. Tony Brown came in hot as well.
Myles Gaskin went low, trying to pick up Tony Brown, and he didn't get a good block. Watch Gaskins come over for Tony Brown. Tony Brown is blitzing from his star position. If Gaskin takes him on high, then Jake Browning can maybe step up in the pocket.
Is that a face mask there?
Could have been.
Came across the front.
The problem was the block by Gaskin. When he went low and Tony Brown went over him, Browning had nowhere to go.
Vizcaino, a line drive, hoping to get the bounce again, and he does. Boy, it's been a roller coaster ride of results from Tristan Vizcaino.
Trayvon Diggs has just been confused by the bounce of the punt and the direction of the punt all night. Washington has struggled with field position in this ball game. The thing they need more than anything is to flip the field. Coming into the game, the best in the country at forcing turnovers, 33. They've yet to knock the ball loose from Alabama in this ball game.
Hurts. Then a tough cut back, and it was a good choice as Qualls hits him forward ahead for 9 yards.
Stepped up underneath the rush of Jalen Johnson. He's not afraid to take a lick. He's not going to slide very often.
Nice snap. That's corralled, and then getting into the backfield was Bierria. Keyshawn Bierria, a tackle for loss. It'll be 3rd down.
Pretty good short yardage defense that time by Washington. Caused a loss of a yard. I guess would be a Jalen Hurts run here. Pick up an extra blocker. Let your quarterback run it.
3rd and 2, design quarterback run, lowers the shoulder and still muscling as JoJo McIntosh was trying to rip the ball away, but Hurts goes for 7 yards.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts had some problems with turnovers. 7 fumbles. He didn't lose all 7, but he got to the point where Nick Saban the last few weeks put him in the same ball security drills that they do with running backs and wide receivers. Did a good job protecting it on that play.
Incomplete as O.J. Howard had to turn around and try to secure the ball. Missed opportunity by Hurts.
Well, what O.J. couldn't see was there was a safety right on top of him. Jalen Hurts saw it and tried to throw it short in that little window, and the two were not able to connect. Alabama has tried to throw play action on 1st down and look to go downfield, but Washington for the most part, has really covered it well.
So much of Alabama's success last year was built on play action. You saw what O.J. Howard was able to do against Clemson in the national championship game.
This is quarterback run here.
And Mr. Blackledge watching a lot of film. They're going to get a hold, though, in the interior of the offensive line.
Here they go.
Reading that, Todd.
They go empty set, and they try to widen everybody out on the defense and open up a seam for him.
Holding. Offense. Number 74. 10-yard penalty.
Yeah.
Second down.
Cam Robinson was pulling on that play, and he was blocking on Keyshawn Bierria, the middle linebacker, and he wrapped his arm around his neck and pulled him down. Once again, another offensive penalty against Alabama.
2 steps forward, 1 back.
Wide
and
split.
Then off in a punt. So 2nd and 18 now. As Hurts to pass again. Then Tucks runs. Tries to spin free. And there's a fumble. The ball is on the ground. And Alabama recovers it with the freshman Jonah Williams diving back. You mentioned it, 7 fumbles since October 15th alone.
Yep, Psalm Wuching was the guy that ripped the ball out, but Washington not able to fall on it. This was the break they needed. Best in the country at forcing turnovers. They get the ball on the ground, but Wuching not able to fall on it. It squirts away, and Jonah Williams, the former high school teammate of Jake Browning, recovers it for Alabama.
So 3rd and 20.
Play clock down inside of 2 again. They're not going to get this play on. They didn't get it off.
And there are some freshman moments every so often, aren't there?
The 7th offensive penalty on Alabama.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
See the frustration from Coach Saban.
He's saying snap the ball. You got to snap the football. I mean, Bradley Bozeman's got to take a look at that play clock also, not just the quarterback.
Bama offense heading in the wrong direction. And Scarborough will get it back out towards the 45-yard line, and they will be punting from there. This Washington defense, time and time again, able to respond. Some self-inflicted wounds by the Bama offense. Let's go down to the field to Holly.
Well, guys, a developing situation down here on the Alabama sideline. Reuben Foster, the very critical linebacker for this Alabama team, was taken into the medical tent. He just wasn't right on the bench. I could see someone talking to him for a long time. They finally took him into the tent, and it alarmed me when they brought out their medical stat kit. They did not eventually use that, and he has gone back out onto the field, but something definitely wasn't right with Reuben Foster. They've evaluated him and not seen anything happen.
Butkus Award winner being attended to. Another high booming kick inside the 10 again by J.K. Scott. ESPN is a proud supporter of Extra Yard for Teachers. We also salute the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl for a $100,000 endowment scholarship to each university. As Coleman gets the carry for 3.
Well, Coleman just has had nowhere to run tonight. 5 carries, only 8 yards. He had 101 yards in the Pac-12 championship win over Colorado.
I'm sure there are some out there saying, why are they even trying to run? You said you got it. You got to keep them honest. You got to stay balanced.
You know, you got to help your offensive line in pass protection, so you can't allow them to just assume pass and pin their ears back and come after your quarterback.
Haven't taken that deep shot to John Ross yet. Browning was under pressure. Jonathan Allen was closing in.
Washington has had 10 offensive possessions. 7 of them have started at their own 20 or worse. I mean, it's hard to stretch the field, which they need to do right now. They need to try to stretch the field with some vertical plays. But when you're backed up that close against your own end zone, against this kind of pass rush, very difficult to do.
If I told you that stat, plus told you Alabama had a defensive score you served one up, you wouldn't think it would only be a 10-point margin. 3rd and 6. Bad snap. He wasn't ready for it. Browning has to just fall on it near the 5-yard line as Tim Williams was right on top of him.
Yeah, this was going to be bad, period, because he's trying to communicate with Coleman. He's not ready for the snap, and I don't know that anybody was going to block Tim Williams. That could have been a sack fumble had he caught the snap. He's probably fortunate that he dropped it and fell on it, because Tim Williams was going to be on top of it.
The 6th 3-and-out in 10 total drives now for the Washington offense.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Vizcaino heels in the back of the end zone. Able to get it away.
What a great kick. It didn't go very far, but he kicked it away from Diggs. Might have a flag at the end of the play here.
Let's check in with Bill Lamagna. What do you see, Bill?
The kicker went down on the play, so we're either going to have a running or roughing the kicker situation. From the vantage point I had, the way he went down, I think he's going to go roughing, which will have big implications.
Running into the kicker by the defense. That penalty is declined.
With the implication on it being a 5-yard penalty, they're going to decline.
Right, sure.
But if it was the 15, it'd give him an automatic first down.
Anderson right here is going to clap, which is the way Jake Browning signals for the snap. Browning was not ready. Anderson clapped. The ball was snapped on his sound, and that should have been a penalty against Alabama. You're not allowed to do that.
Bill?
Yeah, the NCAA came out with an interpretation this year and said that if you do that snap defensively, it draws the, it drew the early snap. That's a 5-yard penalty, delay a game on the defense.
And that's what had Browning not prepared for the ball and falling on it on the 5.
If you're Alabama right now, though, offensively, you've got to find a way to put the dagger in. Your defense kind of has them under wraps. This is your 3rd straight possession inside the 50-yard line. You got a field goal and a punt on your first 2.
Hurts. Corralled by Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson, because of some of the injuries, primarily to Joe Mathis on the defensive front, he's playing more. He's a bigger body guy at 6'3", 280. Did a nice job of just moving down the line of scrimmage on Hurts.
That may not be a bad thing to have the 300-pounders and 280 guy rather than the edge rusher against the physicality of Alabama. Zine Victor, a big part of what they were able to do this year. Leading tackler, has been out for over a month as well. 3rd and 7 now.
Dieter has been kind of a guy he's looked at on 3rd down. Quarterback run all the way.
Taken down again as Jalen Johnson and Turpin, and a loss of 5.
Turpin made the play. Damian Turpin, number 66, got immediate penetration and forced Hurts to try to bounce this out. Watch Turpin. He's in a stand-up stance. He's going to come right through the right guard, Corey Curvin, and force Hurts to try to cut it back right into the waiting arms of Jalen Johnson. And again, this Washington defense bails out the offense.
J.K. Scott hangs it up there again. And go for the touchback as we talk about this defensive line of Washington.
Got a flag.
Flag is down back at midfield. I can remember when we went out to do that big showdown game, that top 10 game against Stanford. I said to you at practice, I go, they look like an SEC defensive line. For all those doubters the past few weeks as to how good this defensive line really was, you're seeing it today.
Absolutely. And we saw it in that Stanford game. Stanford prides themselves on being a physical team on the line of scrimmage on both sides. And that night, that Friday night in Seattle, Washington was clearly the more physical team against Stanford, and they held their own particularly on the defensive front, against this Alabama offensive line in this ball game.
Holding, offense, number 55. The 10-yard penalty will be tacked on to the end of the kick. First down, Washington.
That's a big break, because not only do they get the ball in better field position, the best field position they've had for most of the night. There's the hold right there, right in the middle of the screen. Cole Mazza, number 55, the snapper. And now Washington, with the best field position they've had for most of the night, they need to try to stretch out this Alabama defense. They've not attacked Marlon Humphrey on one corner or Anthony Averett for a while.
Just think about describing the 30-yard line as great field position for Washington.
Yeah.
That's the kind of night it's been. Browning now. A lot of time on the rollout, first down.
Nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, though.
Excellent coverage downfield by Alabama. They had Ross covered, they had Pettis covered, and the underneath route was Daniels. And Alabama in perfect position on the bootleg. There's nowhere to go. Ross was coming on the crossing route, not able to get enough separation. Reuben Foster running underneath it. That's perfect teammate coverage on John Ross.
Browning has missed his last 6 pass attempts. Gaskin trying to bounce it to the outside, but it was Averett who first came up, and then the rest of the Tide crew followed.
And see, when Alabama gets you like this, right now they don't respect the running game. They've got 2 safeties. That means they say, you know what? You guys can handle the run with even numbers of blockers, and we can double up on pass coverage and cover everybody there. And if you can do that, if you're Alabama, you have a major upper hand in the ballgame.
I think you and I talked all week long. It's 6 in the box can handle the run. This is a different ballgame. And the Washington offense is struggling with that. 3rd and 10. Can Browning find something? Long pass to the perimeter, and ahead for the first down is Aaron Fuller.
Wow, big play. Long throw for Browning. Left hash thrown to the right sideline. It's the zone defense. And Tony Brown pretty soft in that coverage. Good protection. Browning, long throw. And a much-needed first down conversion for the Huskies. How do you get a chunk play against this Alabama defense? You can't go 12, 13 plays and nickel and dime them. You've got to get a chunk play somewhere along the lines, throwing it downfield.
That guy number 1 could be the one to deliver on it. Gaskin, look at the Tide getting to Gaskin, led by Minka Fitzpatrick.
Again, they were looking for Ross down the field first. Not able to get him the football or Pettis. And the underneath was the only place Browning had to go with the football.
PlayStation Fiesta Bowl coming up tonight. Should be a great one with Watson and Barrett, Dabo and Urban. That's the prime time second half for this college football playoff.
Alabama playing a lot more zone defense in this game, trying to keep these fast receivers in front of them.
2nd and 8. Coleman as Deshaun Hand makes the tackle, a gain of 5. This could be the end of the 3rd quarter. What a job this Washington defense has done. But the offense, that sloppy moment before the half as Ryan Anderson took it back. And now to start the 4th quarter, a 3rd and 3 for the 4th-seeded Huskies. Browning sprinting near side and just beyond the reach of Fuller, whose diving effort couldn't come up with it. It'll be 4th down.
Tim Williams might have affected that throw a little bit. They were moving the pocket. A good decision, I think, by Washington. And Tim Williams affected the throw, and Chris Peterson electing to go for it.
So here we go. 4th and 3. Washington's going to roll the dice.
No, quick kick.
He's done this 2 times this year. And he gets off a really good one. Look at this. Out of bounds inside the 5.
So they don't convert, but they do flip the field and give Alabama a little bit of their own medicine here. And now hope their defense can come up big again.
A 50-yard punt by Jake Browning by way of his left foot.
Yep, right-handed thrower, left-footed punter.
He does everything in his life left-handed except throw a football exceptionally well.
Couldn't do it any better than that.
50-yard punt by Browning. And now what will the Bama offense offer up to get out of the hole?
They've not been able to take advantage of great field position. Let's see what they do with this kind of field position.
As the 18-year-old quarterback from his own end zone with Damian Harris.
And they are not opposed to throwing play action and taking a deep throw on first down, even in a situation like this.
Harris stacked up for a loss. Ben Burke-Kirby, as that front of Washington continues to find success.
I'll tell you what, Vita Vea is playing some ball tonight. He is handling the right guard. Nice pursuit by Burke-Kirby from his linebacker position, but Vita Vea is the guy that stopped the play. Be careful of the holding penalty here if you're Alabama as well.
Hurts trying to get out of the end zone and only able to gain maybe a yard and a half there as Qualls and Burke-Kirby again finding him.
Elijah Qualls, one of those guys that 320-pounder, former running back in high school, moves up and down the line of scrimmage very well. Plays multiple positions on this defensive front 7.
Now this is as big of a moment as this second half has had. 3rd and 9 with Hurts in his own end zone. Scarborough makes it happen. First down, Alabama.
Big time run. It's a counter play. They pull the backside guard and the tight end. Corey Curvin, the guard, and O.J. Howard, the tight end, pull and lead on that play. And Scarborough gets the first down.
Over 100 yards rushing for the big back from Northport, Alabama. Hurts, play action, and complete to O.J. Howard, and all of a sudden Bama's out to the 30-yard line.
Good patience when they were right on their own 1-yard line. They get the conversion on the 3rd down run, and now they open things up a little bit once they get that first down.
Hurts ahead for 1 as the area and Qualls were able to get to him. Big moment on 3rd and 9 with Mo Scarborough as Lane Kiffin had faith in his big back. He's had an outstanding game, 13 rushes, 107 yards, and that powerful touchdown to tie the game at 7 apiece early on. And he gets free again. Look at Bo go. Scarborough inside the 10. The tide is rolling late. Touchdown run for Scarborough.
That has been their formula. Bring Bo in like the closer in baseball in the 4th quarter when the defense is a little tired, and then try to tackle that big guy at 230 pounds. It's a perimeter run. Psalm Wuching is going to make a mistake. He's going to come inside, and Bo Scarborough is going to break 2 tackles. First, Greg Gaines, number 99, has a shot at him. Then JoJo McIntosh. Neither one can get him on the ground. And Big Bo not only gets a big yardage play, he gets a touchdown to put Alabama up 24-7.
So many made the short drive over from Alabama. And moments ago, a sensational 68-yard touchdown run by Bo Scarborough. Here's John Ross. Can he deliver something? Trying to get to the outside. But Averett runs him down. And now today's Capital One pivotal performance time.
Well, it's been Bo Scarborough, the closer, the big back, the physical back. 230 pounds running for tough yards against this very feisty Washington defense. And when he gets those shoulders north and south, he is hard to get on the ground. And then as he begins to wear a defense down, he has the speed to make a big play. This last touchdown run, maybe the capper for Alabama in this one. And the big fella shows you what he can do. 175 yards now in the ballgame.
That was just near the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard there to McClatcher.
That's Burton Burns, the associate head coach, running back coach, been a long-time assistant coach. Had to leave bowl preparations here in Atlanta for a day to go home and bury his father, Winston, who passed away at age 92, was the first coach in the Burns family, inspired him to be a coach, and certainly a sad moment for him earlier in the week, but happy to see his running game going now with Bo Scarborough.
Trying to set up the screen to Gaston. Runs outside of the blocks and makes contact with Mika Fitzpatrick. 7 yards there.
Mika Fitzpatrick is all over the place. He has great speed and pursuit angles from his safety position. Alabama has had some elite defensive backs over Nick Saban's tenure there. And this guy is going to be a great one.
From Old Bridge, New Jersey, headed south to play for Coach Saban, who, as you know, his love for coaching up the defensive backfield. 3rd and 2. As Coleman moves to the slot and now shifts back to flank Browning. And complete for a first down to Pettis.
Almost lost it.
Yeah, he took that back step to try to gain some yardage and almost retreated too far.
This Alabama defense coming into the game, we talked about their numbers, their ability to stop the run, their ability to turn you over and turn it into points. We've seen all of that tonight.
Pettis limping off there, Todd.
Washington sitting at 166 yards of total offense. The only team that really held them down this year was USC. Held them to 276 and only 13 points. They're at 166 and 7 right now.
First down run by Coleman.
Washington just has not been able to get any chunk plays. The longest play they've had in the game was a 20-yard completion to Gaskin out of the backfield early in the ball game. They just have not been able to convert a big play. And you can't grind out a long play drive against this type of defense. You got to get some chunk plays, and Washington has not been able to find any.
Washington only has 23 second half yards. 2nd and 8. Browning steps up and goes down again. Jonathan Allen.
He beats the left guard, Jake Eldenkramp. Again, the difference in this Alabama defense and defenses of the past, their ability to get great pressure by only rushing 4. They've not always had that luxury. The last 2 years, Alabama has had that luxury with the kind of players they have rushing the passer.
13. And that roar of Crimson fans smelling blood in the water. Here's a shot downfield that had no chance other than Minkah Fitzpatrick looking for his 6th interception of the year.
John Ross was double covered. The safety, Fitzpatrick, coming over the top to help. The 5th time that Washington faced a 3rd and 10 or more. They're 1 for 5 in those situations. That plays right into the hands of this Crimson Tide defense.
Once again, cross field as it'll settle in down near the 20-yard line. Saban is chasing history, namely the Bear, who won 6 national titles. Saban sitting on 5 right now. As Hurts throws it away with the area trying to track him down.
You know, I think one of the things that's most amazing when you think about Nick Saban and what he's built here at Alabama, tonight is the 49th game that Alabama has played as the #1 ranked team in the country over his 9 years. It's amazing the consistency of performance that they've played with. In the 48 games prior, their record is 43-5 as the #1 ranked team in the country. You know there's a big bullseye on your back. You know you're going to get everybody's best shot, and they still win.
Here is the star of the day, Scarborough, just a yard there. Holly.
Well, one of the ways he's attained that success, Todd, is he has trained his players to think just like he does. In fact, I was talking with Ronnie Harrison, and he was telling me how accountable these players are to each other. He said, if people are doing stuff in drills and we don't think it's good enough, we tell them to go back and do it again, not the coaches. They police themselves. They hold each other to a standard that is very high. Coach Saban has really made the rest of the team in his favor.
Good point.
Third and 9. And it's Hurts with plenty of time, but he threw it high and behind our Darius Stewart. Alabama trying to coast home with a win here in the college football playoff in what is the last game time in the Georgia Dome in front of a record crowd at the Georgia Dome.
Lane Kiffin said something interesting to us that he and Steve Sarkisian both learned from being with Nick Saban. That is just how consistently he stays on the players and demands that accountability that Holly was talking about. Lane said, you know, we kind of, when we were younger coaches, if things were going good, we kind of lighten up on guys. Nick said, you can't do that.
Another big-legged punt as Pettis tries to find something, and he finds a whole bunch of Tide coverage. PlayStation Fiesta Bowl still to come your way. Browning harassed, escapes.
A couple of flags down.
As would normally be the case with what we just saw. We will check on that. But under 7 minutes to play here in Atlanta.
Illegal substitution. The offense had 12 players on the field. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That is Trey Adams, the starting
Officials
left tackle.
timeout for an injured player.
Really, the medical staff is checking on. He was a first-team All Pac-12 selection.
And really a fine football player.
A year ago, when he was a freshman, he earned the starting job at left tackle, and that was the first time that Washington ever had a true freshman starter at left tackle. Just 163 total yards of offense for Washington.
And this is the way Alabama has won games all season. A little bit of everything they do. They impose their will on you with their defense, and they find a way to turn you over, and in many cases turn those into points. The Ryan Anderson interception return for a touchdown, and then they run power football at you when your defense starts to get a little bit fatigued. It's just been their formula. They don't beat themselves. They don't put their freshman quarterback in a lot of difficult situations.
I think they limit Jalen Hurts' exposure. A lot of quarterback run, a lot of throws at or behind the line of scrimmage. But when you have this defense to lean on as a crutch that can score on their own, and then you see, especially recently down the stretch of the season, and then today, the emergence and the reliability of Bo Scarborough, it's a tough out for anybody. So after the penalty at 1st and 15, as they go with the draw to Gaskin, and he works his way to the 20. Hey, Monday's a great day with 3 more games on ESPN. You got the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic as we look at the totality of the New Year's Six there. That's Western Michigan and Wisconsin. I cannot wait for the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. And then the All-State Sugar Bowl with Auburn and Oklahoma. But USC and Penn State, and the way those two teams closed out the season, as much momentum as any team. These teams in the playoff as well.
As hot as any team playing at the end of the season. USC, the one common opponent that both Washington and Alabama faced, but totally different teams when they played them.
Complete for a first down. We haven't seen a lot of downfield passing as Bocelli has the reception. And just think about since October what Penn State and USC have looked like. Sam Darnold, the quarterback at USC, that is going to be a name we're going to talk about a lot in 2 days. We're going to talk about nonstop all next year.
Alabama opened the year with USC and beat them soundly 52-6 in Arlington.
A game that Darnold
did not start. Yeah, didn't start, played a little bit. Sam Darnold didn't become the starter until the Utah game, a game they lost at the very end. It was the 3rd loss of the year for USC, and then they won everything since then. And he changed this team dramatically. So when Washington played them in November, they were a much different USC team than the one Alabama faced.
Bama beat them 52-6. USC then beat Washington 26-13. 2nd and 7. As Averett was covering Ross.
John Ross just has not been able to find space against this Alabama defense. Anthony Averett has done a beautiful job against him. He's been on him more than Humphrey has. They like to put their hands on you, and you got to be able to fight through that. John Ross looks frustrated because he just has not been able to be a factor in this game. 11 targets, 5 catches, but for a measly 28 yards.
And all that was in the first half. He's been shut out here in this second half, and he was probably the most talked about offensive weapon for Washington leading up to this. That happened yet again. Another sack. This time, Averett coming in off the corner. Bama's 4th sack of the day.
And we saw Averett in coverage, and this time we see him come off the blitz. His man came in short motion. He passed off the coverage to an inside safety and comes unabated to the quarterback for the sack. Nice ball game by Anthony Averett here today against the Huskies. Another New Jersey product in this secondary.
Nearly muffed that, but Diggs able to control it. 4.5 minutes to play to make their way to the College Football Playoff National Championship. Ardarius Stewart with a good carry there, a gain of 9. The play call from Lane Kiffin, as he is wont to do with his wide receivers. Todd?
We already mentioned earlier Lane Kiffin, the new head coach at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. Take over when his duties here with Alabama are done. The guy that's going to succeed him is Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian, former head coach at Washington, got the job at USC, and last year parted ways about mid-season with USC. Had some personal issues to work through, and Nick Saban hired him, gave him a chance to turn his life around, hired him as an analyst. And he's been involved with Lane Kiffin, his friend, in the preparation of game plans, and will take over as the new offensive coordinator when Lane leaves. And it should be a very smooth transition because he and Lane are so familiar with the same kind of styles of offense. They coach together, they're friends. Nick Saban feels like Steve has earned his trust and has proven himself. And Jalen Hurts, as a young quarterback, has a guy that's already been on the staff. He doesn't have to build a new relationship with a new coach. going forward. I think it's a pretty brilliant move on Nick Saban's part, as long as Steve Sarkisian has his life together, which by all accounts he does.
Crossing midfield is Scarborough. What an incredible afternoon Bo Scarborough had. We got the sense in visiting with Lane Kiffin this week that if everything followed form, you would see big moments from Scarborough late in the game. And I don't know that there's a bigger sequence in defining a game than the opportunity that was had by Washington with the quick kick that went out at the 2, stopping them, earning a 3rd and 9, and then Scarborough muscling his way for a first down and then exploding for a 68-yard touchdown.
And that 3rd down play was not a play called necessarily to get the first down. It was just to get it away from the 1-yard line. And Scarborough turned it into a first down.
And here he will add to his total by 1.5 yards, as he is knocking on the door of a 200-yard day here. Up past 180.
Washington.
As Washington will use a timeout here. I think Scarborough keeps Alabama a little closer to what we've known their identity to be through this incredible run of success. The bigger guy, the workhorse.
Yeah. And it's kind of similar to some of Urban Meyer's older Ohio State teams when he had a running quarterback in Braxton Miller and a big back. You've got Bo Scarborough, your big bruising back. You got Jalen Hurts, your running quarterback. And that combination is going to be pretty tough to stop, especially late in the game if a defense is fatigued at all. That big 230-pound back, when he gets those shoulders north and south, he's a load to bring down. Battled through injuries last year and the early part of this year. This is the first game he's played without a knee brace on, and he looks fast and fresh tonight and on his way to a huge game.
A game big enough, Todd, to be Alabama's bowl record for a rushing day. 183 yards. That's the best in the grand history of this program. And Hurts on 3rd and 6. Do a check on the mark there. Can experience the College Football Playoff National Championship at Playoff Fan Central. It's free for every national championship game ticket holder. You got school bands and cheerleaders, pep rallies, interactive games. Friday, January 6th through Sunday the 8th at the Tampa Convention Center. For more, you can log on to collegefootballplayoff.com.
And one of the things I think that stands out to me about this Alabama team is their leadership and their unselfishness.
They're second. 30-second timeout.
And the best example of that to me is Calvin Ridley, their best wide receiver. Last year, Ridley had 89 catches, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. This year, 65 catches. And in a ball game as big as this, where you know he wants to play on a big stage, only 1 catch for 6 yards. He's been a non-factor in the game as a receiver. But he knows that the way this team is built this year, with the quarterback that they have, with the running game that they have, it's a little bit tougher to get balls thrown your way. But he hasn't complained. He hasn't been selfish. He's blocked on the perimeter. He's done what his team has needed. And that's an indication of a team that wants to win a championship.
And I would offer this. Can you imagine if you had the complement of Ridley, Ardarius Stewart, and O.J. Howard at tight end, all those downfield, long, fluid athletes who are threats downfield with speed, in a passing system, what their stats would be. These are high-level, elite receivers. 4th and 1 here with under 2 minutes to play as the big jumbo package comes on. And behind Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, they can't find much that time as King came up and made the stop for the turnover.
Well, that says something about the character of this Washington defense, too. Obviously, they had this formation scouted. It's the short yardage goal line formation with the 2 defensive linemen. They closed in. They blew it up in the backfield. And Kevin King, without his helmet, is able to not only get the stop, but a loss of yardage stop on 4th down. No quit in this Washington defense either. They have played admirably.
Well, there was so much
exception of that
asked
one
of them
long. Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the field position, the average start to the drives for Alabama time and time again. Washington had to come up big defensively.
Well, we said all along coming into this game, we thought Washington's defense was good enough to hold them in it. Could their offense find enough ways to score points? And they had not been able to.
As Fuller will take it ahead inside the 40-yard line. 16-yard reception for the freshman from Texas. Trey Adams left the field moments ago, you remember, with the medical attention. He is back out there playing left tackle for Washington.
Good to see.
Dante Pettis not in action with a right knee injury. As Browning's going to crank it up downfield, and that drifts to the right on him.
Can't say enough about the downfield coverage of Alabama today. Again, they have a great luxury for the last 2 years in being able to generate tremendous pressure on the quarterback without committing extra rushers. When you can do that with 4 and commit 7 guys to your pass coverage, you're able to double a couple guys and really close down routes. And Alabama has really stopped the big plays today from this Washington pass offense.
Long throw near sideline again to Fuller for a first down. A reminder that after the college football playoff semifinal games wrap up, it's Sports Center at night with Scott Van Pelt. We'll give you the breakdown of everything that we saw today, all the full analysis, as they'll set you up for the college football playoff national championship, as well as the latest NFL news. So you can ring in 2017 with Sports Center at night after Ohio State and Clemson in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Late gap pressure, able to pick it up downfield, goes Browning and throws short of John Ross, who does not have a catch in the second half of this game.
Browning not able to get enough on that throw for Ross because of pressure. Alabama with a lot of starters still out there on defense. They don't want to give up any more points. A minute 29, 24-7. They've controlled this football game, as they have done so often this season. They did not face many good or above average offenses in the SEC this year. This was the best offense, the most complete offense they've faced all year, and they were ready for the challenge.
Washington just crested over 200 total yards. A mighty task to go up against this Bama D, as Tony Brown had coverage that time on Fuller. And there's a fight now back near the 35-yard line. They're going to separate them.
Well, Reuben Foster's been in a couple scuffles here in the last couple plays. That's Ronnie Harrison.
Ronnie Harrison there.
Obviously frustration on the part of Washington. So at the end of the play, it was Trey Adams involved.
There are 2 fouls, both of which occurred after the play, so it will be 3rd down. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense, number 56. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense, number 93. Those are the first unsportsmanlike fouls on those players.
Now, Bill Lamagna, former head of officials in the Big Ten, you got to be careful here with a minute 24 to play. You want to be able to play in the next game.
Yeah, now if it's an unsportsmanlike conduct that you get dumped for, you're eligible to play in the next game. But if they got tossed for fighting, then they're going to have the one half, they're going to sit out another half of the next game. So it is something they have to be careful with. Good job by the officials to get in between, get things settled down. Particularly for Alabama, they got to remember something more important is ahead of them.
That's what Eddie Jackson's trying to tell young Ronnie Harrison right now.
That'll be the last thing that Nick Saban would want to hear heading into a national championship game. Mr. Browning is going to feel that one. Rashaan Evans.
He beat Trey Adams. Trey Adams came out of the game a few plays ago, a leg injury, and he's slow getting off the mark. Rashawn Adams times the snap count, beats him around the edge, and another sack for this Alabama defense. Again, the difference over the last 2 years, their ability to create sacks and negative yardage plays, much different than Nick Saban's first 3 national championship teams.
You can notch 5 sacks on the belt today as Browning wants to call a timeout here. Final minute and a 4th and 17.
Timeout, Washington.
And a record
Their third
crowd.
and final timeout of the half.
At the Georgia Dome, that's become a wall of sound.
Joe, in Nick Saban's first 3 championship teams, 2009, 32 sacks. 2011, 30 sacks. 2012, 35 sacks. Last year, they had 53, which is an average of 3.5 per game. This year, now, they've got 50 in 1 less game. So it's just their last 2 years, they've had some premier pass rushers, namely Tim Williams and Ryan Anderson off the edge that they never had before. And then they've got interior guys that can rush. So when they can rush with 4 and create that kind of pressure, your coverage holds on longer down the field. It's just a very difficult combination.
Williams and Anderson, that's the big difference.
Yeah, it really is.
And what it allows them to do. We talked to so many coordinators in prepping for this game. Brett Lashley at Auburn, John Baxter out there at USC, and everybody who's played them, they say that's the difference. 22 and 56. Desperation heave on 4th and 17, and fittingly add another defensive gem. Minkah Fitzpatrick with the interception. He had a 100-yarder earlier this year, this time taken down from behind. His 6th interception of the year. Flag is down back.
Yeah, 2 Washington players are down. Trey Adams, I think, is down again. John Ross down. Trey Adams made the tackle on Minkah Fitzpatrick. A lot of frustration right now. 24 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama doesn't just take a knee here.
Well, that's the familiar chant that has started up through the years, the SEC chant.
That's Eldrin Camp this time.
Eldrin Camp is helped up. But the local crowd likes that style of play right till double zeros are on the clock here. 24 seconds remaining, a 17-point margin, and bodies are still flying around out there.
You know the guy's name that we have not mentioned in the game tonight? Defensive coordinator Jeremy Pruitt. He's kind of lived a charmed life. Take a look at these replays. Eldrin Camp number 52 is going to get blocked by Jonathan Allen. And he was down. John Ross was also down. There's the block by Allen. But Jeremy Pruitt, 10 years ago, he was coaching high school football in the state of Alabama.
After the play was over, there were 2 unsportsmanlike conduct fouls committed, both by Alabama. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 2. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 98. Both of those fouls will be enforced half the distance to the goal. It will be Alabama's ball, 1st down.
Nick wants his guys to play with an edge, there's no question, but he wants them to play smart. A couple frustrating penalties here at the end by the team that's winning. There's Jeremy Pruitt with the white hat next to Nick Saban. They want to talk to these guys and just make sure they understand that they can't have plays like that. Tony Brown was one of the guilty parties on that last play. I mentioned Jeremy Pruitt. 10 years ago, coaching high school. He was an assistant at Alabama 2007 to 2012. Was a defensive coordinator at Florida State for 1 year, and they won the national championship. Ironically, that defense had 8 touchdowns. His defense this year just notched their 11th defensive touchdown. Second year as the coordinator here at Alabama, the first year.
Nick Saban is going to have a chance at history. Coach Peterson, first time he has lost a top 10 matchup. 24-7 is the final here in the college football playoff semifinal. Holly.
Well, Coach, after the first half, things really shut down for your defense. What did you change against this Washington offense?
We didn't. After the first series, we played pretty well. I mean, people like these guys have a script. They did some stuff that got us a little bit off balance, and we didn't do our responsibilities. But after we got in the flow of the game, I thought we played pretty well on defense.
You told us to expect more of Bo Scarborough, and boy, did we get more of him. What did you think of his performance?
Well, Bo's been really playing well for us the last 3 or 4 games, so we want to play him more. And the guy's hard to tackle. He's big and powerful and playing with a lot of confidence right now, and he did a great job for us today.
You're on to the national championship, but I know you can't be happy how that ended with the penalties. What do you want to see you guys clean up moving forward?
Well, I think guys can't lose their poise. You know, somebody cut Ruben, and everybody got all upset about it. I mean, you know, we got a lot of guys that can play at the next level, so they get a little bit upset when things like that happen. But I don't think it's right for our guys to make emotional decisions like that. That's not what we want, and we'll get it fixed.
Will you go and watch that next game after us?
Yeah, I mean, we got to get ready for another game, and you know, I mean, try to take advantage of the opportunities that we have.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Bo Scarborough, they told us that you're like the closer. They bring you in for like the 100-mile-an-hour pitcher at the end of the game. How were you able to get that long 98-yard touchdown drive going?
I mean, you know, my offensive line and my receivers blocking. You know, they opened no holes for me to get through. I took advantage of them, so I want to thank my offensive line for doing their job tonight.
You have had injuries throughout your career. You came in with a lot of expectations, but the injuries have held you back. What does it feel like tonight to kind of reach your potential so far?
I mean, you know, it feels great to be back on the field. And, you know, it's all a mental thing. And, you know, you got to train hard to become the best. And that's what we did tonight.
Brian Anderson coming in, give you some help. Took your offense a little while to get going in the first half, some miscues. What do you think you want to clean up moving forward?
I mean, we just got to come out and start fast. And, you know, that's our biggest problem right now. We got to come out, start fast, and we got to finish strong.
All right, we'll see you in the national championship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly, as you're watching the Ford post-game show. Joe Tessitore and Todd Blackledge with you here. Alabama's going to be playing for the national championship. You know the formula. It always starts with defense with Alabama. Scarborough had a big day, but that defense is something.
Well, they came in with all the rankings and ranked first in all the major defensive categories, and they lived up to it today. They really shut down this vaunted Washington offense, held them to 194 yards of total offense, the lowest total of the season, sacked Jake Browning 5 times, and then they did what they've done all year, and that's forced turnovers. They ripped the ball out from John Ross, giving their offense great field position, and then, as they've done for the 11th time this year, they not only create a turnover, they score with the football. Ryan Anderson on the interception return, uncannily the 11th defensive touchdown for Alabama this season.
They're the season numbers. #1 in so many statistical superlative categories, and then today, holding Washington to 7 points. Total yards, 194. Sublime performance by the Alabama defense. The pick six before the half, that was a sloppy moment by Washington. Anderson takes advantage. But the critical sequence of the game, when the Washington defense was still hanging around there, they had a chance and they pinned them deep, and then Mr. Scarborough said, I'm going to get us out of here and then I'm going to take off. That 98-yard drive he capped, that did it.
Yeah, Bo Scarborough was a man again today. He's been playing really well the last 2 weeks. Holly has called him, he's like the fastball. He came in, he runs north and south, he runs with low pad level, he breaks tackles, he is a physical presence. And he just had an outstanding game. 180 yards and a couple touchdowns in the ball game. And you mentioned that critical drive. He got a first down on 3rd and 9. And then when they had better field position, this run, 68 yards for the touchdown to put the Tide up 24-7. And really, with the way their defense was playing, that was the ball game. Bo Scarborough, their big back, running strong on that 98-yard drive.
Think about all the greats in recent history, from Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, and going back through history with Bobby Humphrey and the rest. That's now the Alabama Bowl record, 180 rushing yards. Bama's in. They're going to play for the national title.